first study ever looking specifically at the effect of creatine on hair loss. So this 12-week randomized control trial published in the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition.
No, this study is not good enough. Let's analyze.
And randomly assigned them to consume 5 grams of creatine monohydrate or 5 grams of a placebo. And they looked at total and free testosterone, DHT, and they looked at hair follicle health via the trichogram test and the photo finder system that assesses things like hair density, follicular unit count, and total hair thickness.
Firstly, a lot of influencers are appealing to this study as it clearly aligns with their biases. But if they actually care to look, they'd see that this study is actually funded by a creatine company. Now, I'm not saying that the study is biased because of the funding, but this definitely aligns with the company's interest. The author of the study, by the way, is also an advisor to Creapure, a creatine manufacturing company in Germany. But this wouldn't have been a problem had this not been a very poorly designed study.
But some people fear that creatine can increase the conversion of testosterone to DHT, which has been linked to male pattern baldness. But in this study, there were no significant differences in DHT levels. And get this, there were no differences in any of the hair-related outcomes between the creatine or placebo groups.
By that regard, the study on rugby players should also be considered valid since it actually showed an increase in serum DHT levels. This is a 12-week study. That's not enough time to analyze any change in hair growth or hair loss. Completing multiple hair cycles takes way longer than that. In fact, even testing drugs like finasteride for hair growth takes years of testing to see any significant result. And even in conditions like male pattern baldness, hair density only decreases about 1% in 3 months. This sample size of 40 people is way too small. It doesn't differentiate between normal people and people who are suffering from male pattern baldness. Now, I'm an advocate of consuming creatine, but since this study is too short term and the sample size of participants is too small, this does not prove that creatine will not cause hair loss. Now, I'm not saying that creatine will definitely cause hair loss. I'm just saying that there's not enough data yet. And there's people who have experienced hair loss because of creatine. So it would only make sense to test for hair loss. And if it truly does affect your hair health, then you should stop. Now, creatine has a lot of benefits, so a self-test should definitely be done. But this just goes to say that these influencers are not taking out the time and effort of properly reading research before making bold, misinformed claims. This half information can actually be dangerous. I hope this helps and I'll see you in the next one.